And over here, if anybody needs to check on their voting information or need to see a sample ballot on the table here, we have 2 QR codes you can scan to check that information.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Quincy Green. Again, I'm representing the Upper Marlboro Ward Alumni Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. I am the timekeeper for this evening. The plan this evening for the candidates is when half of your time is up, whether it be a minute, 30 seconds, whatever. Once half of your time is up, I'll hold up this green card. Once all the time is ended, I'll hold up the red card. That'll be your cue that your time is expired. Okay? Welcome.
Also, if you have any type of electronic device, if you can silence and mute that, please. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to get started by having the candidates do a brief 30-second introduction of who they are and which office they're running for. So I'll start here to my immediate right.
Hello, I'm Sean Mountain. I'm running for Delegate District 27A.
Just a brief introduction.
So I'm running in Delegate District 27A, and folks, did you know that there is now a fee on tires? I'm running to bring prices down. We've got to do that in Maryland. Folks are feeling squeezed across the board. I'm originally from Alabama. I'm originally from Alabama, and now I live here in this community proudly. Moved out here to the country, brought the country with me. Asking for your vote, Delegate 27A.
There we go. Good evening, everyone. I'm John Jones, candidate for District 28 State Delegate. I'm a husband, a father, a scientist. I was a Prince George's County kid, but I've become a Charles County adult. Everything in my adult life that has happened in Charles County. Graduate of the College of Southern Maryland, bachelor's degree in biology from each state, master's degree in biotechnology from Johns Hopkins. I'm a scientist by trade, and my reason for running is to bring a new ear, new voice to your state legislature. It is my job to bring data and science-driven opportunities to the problems in Southern Maryland.
Hello, everyone. I'm Edith Patterson. I'm running for re-election to serve you in the House of Delegates representing District 28. I've been in public service for a number of years, first on the school board, then as a county commissioner, then with Maryland Higher Education Commission, and certainly now as your delegate. Those experiences as a public servant and my education have afforded me the chance to bring so many opportunities and resources back to our county. When I became elected in 2014, the idea is bring back to your county.
Good evening. My name is Deborah Davis. I am a delegate from District 28. I'm running to retain my seat. I've been a delegate for 7 years now. Prior to that, I was a county commissioner. I do most of the work I do in Annapolis is social justice work. So if you're interested, I'm looking for somebody to take my seat afterwards. What else? Like I said, I was a commissioner before. I was born in Prince George's County also. I raised my kids here, and I am a practicing attorney for the past 30 years, and I own a small business here. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Yanel Moore-Lee. I am running for delegate in District 27A. Very proud to be the only woman running, and there's no representation in the entire district of 27. I am an attorney. I have been active in all things since college. I've been very proud public servant, immediate past chairperson of the Board of Education here in Charles County, where I managed a $529 million budget. I am a very proud wife of a Marine Corps veteran, a mother of 3 who have attended public schools. I'm running because affordability is a real concern for our community. I serve in nonprofit spaces and currently on the board of the United Way of National Capital Area. I'll be back.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Winfield Clark. I'm running for delegate, District 28. I'm a proud husband, father of 6, and native of Charles County. Graduated from McDonough High School. Got my electrical degree from Hampton University, and then my MBA later on. Listen, I'm a pastor, a nonprofit owner, and a business transformation leader. And for the last 20 years, I've been helping businesses improve results to the tune of over $30 million, engage their people, and manage change. And I'm ready to do that for Charles County. I know what it means to engage the community. I know what it means to deliver results. And I'm ready to help us unlock the potential that we need to. Vote Clark, Delegate District 28. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm James Ashman, Republican for State Delegate, District 28. Graduating class number 2 from McDonough. I'm running to bring fiscal responsibility to Annapolis. I'll fight to reduce unnecessary spending, close the structural deficit, and that we're going to repeal many of those laws aforementioned that have been the taxes and fees that are killing us. We don't have a revenue problem, we have a spending problem. Some taxpayers are leaving because they can't afford to retire in Maryland. Young taxpayers are leaving because they don't see a bright future in Maryland. Remember, the state's credit rating was downgraded in 2025.
Time.
And James Ashburn humbly asks for your vote.
My name is Clifton Crosby Jr., Charles County native. I graduated from North Point High School. I'm a former legislator for Towson University. I was a Senate leader there. I taught senators how to be legislators. I was also elected to be the Vice President of Undergraduate Affairs for the University Systems of Maryland, representing over 135,000 students in the state of Maryland, so I understand politics at the state level, and I understand the urgency of the moment. I understand that we need systematic change, and we need systematic solutions, more importantly. We've become complacent with the fact that Charles County has the potential to be great, but we haven't been great for a long time.
Good evening. My name is Evan Smith. I am running as a Democrat for District 28. I'm a chemical engineer. I'm the communications director of the Southern Maryland Young Democrats. And I'm running because I believe that we need change. We need, my engineering background has led me to have a certain level of technical expertise, and I think that I can bring that to finally delivering on rapid transit, for example. I also think that affordability is a big issue. I have 30 seconds, so I can do all of it, but in my youth, I think is also a big part of this too. Our generation is very checked out, and we need to be re-engaged. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going ahead with our opening question. What motivated you to run for delegate, and what unique perspective would you bring to representing Charles County and Annapolis? What motivates you to continue seeking re-election, and what priorities or perspective would you bring to the next term?
1 minute, 30 seconds.
So you have 1 minute and 30 seconds this time. 1 minute and 30 seconds. So we're going to start, because we started on this end first, we're going to start down there first.
Could you repeat the question?
Sure. So the opening question is, what motivated you to run for delegate, and what unique perspective would you bring to representing Charles County and Annapolis? What motivates you to continue seeking re-election, and what new priorities or perspectives would you bring to the next term?
So I do get to elaborate. So I already mentioned that I'm young, that's evident, but my chemical engineering background, I think that honestly, the thing that motivated me most to run was just a sense of frustration with where things are. The glacially slow pace, if moving at all, that anything is getting done at. It's been 30 years that we've been knowing about having a problem with transit, and even longer that we've been knowing about having a problem with housing. So it's ultimately just that I thought I could bring that change. I also think that just to elaborate on why I think the youth is actually an important thing, about the median age in Maryland is about 39, so half of Marylanders are younger than that. And yet 35 and under, only 4% of the General Assembly is that age. So 1 in 25 versus half the population. This is why our young people are checked out. They don't feel like they're part of the process. They feel like their ballot doesn't mean a whole lot. And so we need to be, when we're bringing new leaders into the legislature, we need to have people that understand their unique struggles, that can really connect with them and bring them into the process. Thank you.
90 seconds is definitely a lot. I guess for me, my story starts from, I don't have my education in anything political. I'm a cybersecurity engineer by trade. I've been one for 5 years. And as a child, I grew up loving problem solving. I never really understood why I love computers and mathematics. I love the fact that there is an objective, correct answer to every single problem that we have in front of us. And when I walked into the student government office at Towson University, that's what I started to do. It just came natural. I enjoy looking at what's going wrong at the moment and how can we get to the best possible solution for every single person. And I realized I was pretty good at it, and my constituents felt I was good at it enough so that they wanted me to lead them in doing it at a high level. So that's where my origin and my motivation for just legislative writing comes from. And when I came home after graduating, I saw the problems at the state level and seeing, you know, like Echo, we have terrible traffic, we have terrible, I won't say terrible development, but it's unfavorable development. We're not happy with where our county is, and I feel like we need somebody to bring in a sense of urgency and a sense of fire to actually tackle the problem. Because like I said, I feel like we're at a state of complacency that it's okay because this is just Charles County. Traffic is bad because it's Charles County. We don't have stores, we don't have businesses flourishing because it's just Charles County. And that's what motivated me to run to change that.
Well, I'm running because after 49 years living in Charles County, and when there were only 3 stoplights in Waldorf, 3 stoplights in Waldorf, you look at the mess we got now. I mean, fiscal responsibility in Annapolis is just out of control. They're going to charge you $1, I think it's $1.25 for a can of latex paint to recycle before you buy it. And yet if you go to the dump, they tell you just to let it sit outside and dry out and just throw it in the trash. So, and that's money's going to an out-of-state NGO. It's not even going to stay in Maryland. It's going to somebody else to recycle paint we don't need. That's just the tip of the iceberg for the fiscal irresponsibility of Annapolis. Then I'm running to restore the base load electricity generation in the county, in the state. I mean, before they started all this wind and solar, we had plenty of power, but they forced this because of wind and solar to shut down 40% of the base load coal plants. We only have 2 left. And we're buying our power from out of state, out of state, out of state. And they could charge us whatever rate they wanted. We're on the PGM thing, and they sell it to in-state first. So we're getting screwed there. I also want the M-Power fee repealed. I think they rated that to balance this last budget. Structurally, they raised taxes $1.5 billion last thing, and they wrote that one into this structural budget. We also have a problem with juvenile crime. They feel like it's a revolving door. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, my family moved here from Southeast DC in 1986. Many of us have that story, and our families have grown and have flourished in this county, and it continues to grow to the tune of maybe 1,500 people every year. But that number is beginning to exceed the infrastructure and the ability of the government to be efficient enough to make the changes that we need to make. I'm running because we have incredible potential, but we're not fully utilizing it. We have strong talent and rising incomes. Think about the talent that's here. 65% of it drives out of this county every morning, and they spend half their money where they work. It's time to bring that back here. We talk about problem solving. We talk about engineers. Yeah, we got enough of them here to do whatever we want to do in Charles County. We just need to centralize and utilize that talent. Listen, I spent the last 20 years with Fortune 100 companies in executive leadership positions, helping them solve those problems. And here's one thing that I know. If you're going to solve problems, you've got to get to the root cause. And if you're going to get to the root cause, you've got to get to the people that drive the processes, the people in the community, the people on the ground floor. That's what this is about. It's not about getting up here and talking about solving problems. It's about doing it. And that's what I'm doing as a pastor. That's what I'm doing in my community as a nonprofit leader, feeding people that can't be fed, praying for people. And as a business transformation leader, what I want to do is help the businesses here in Charles County learn how to level up. Everyone is doing the best that they can, but we don't know what we don't know. How about we fund the ability to teach customer service, right? To improve the nature of our businesses, to give them what they need to flourish in this challenging environment. Winfield Clark, Delegate, District 28, vote for me. Thank you. One more time.
Good evening, Yanel Morley, Delegate, District 27A. In a nutshell, what motivated me to run is something called ALICE. Asset Limited Income Constrained Employee. It unfortunately impacts and speaks to too many people in our families and in our communities. As I mentioned, previously chaired the United Way of Southern Maryland, now in the United Way National Capital Area. In our 3 counties, Charles, Calvert, and St. Mary's, $16 billion worth of economic impact. We have what we need. I'm proud to serve where I live and have been serving in Charles County for almost 14 years. District 27A also encompasses Prince George's County. I lived in Prince George's County for 20 years, so I know both. It's not a matter of running because I want a title. Let's be honest, anyone here could probably make more money outside of these spaces. You have to be committed and passionate to what you do. I have 3 children, as I shared. They are public school students. My daughter is summa cum laude at Howard University, Charles County Public School. My husband is a veteran, served for his country, proud to live in Charles County. I'm very proud of where we are. We have what we need. We just need to utilize it. I serve on the state, local, and national levels. I have the commitment, I have the resources, I have the collaborative spirit. I'm an attorney, I'm a mediator. So all these spaces, all these things coming together is my wheelhouse. It's what I know, it's what I do. I serve with many of you. I ask that you continue to support me and also to remember Yanel Morley, 27A. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not going to stand. I hope you guys don't mind. I can't read my scribbles if I stand. So I ran because I'm good. I am awesome at this job, and better yet, our team is awesome at this job. By any measure, I will tell you, we have bought back millions of dollars for Charles County. For nonprofits, for small businesses, we have bought back millions of dollars. We have bought back millions of dollars in scholarships. We do that, and we work well as a team. We work on transparency. We make sure that any bill that we put forward goes through the county commissioners. Any bill that we make that goes forward that's a Charles County bill, we make sure that it goes through a public comment first. And I'm well respected in Annapolis. Believe it or not, people walk up to me all the time and they know what I do, they know who I am, and for the first time in the history of the legislature, there are 2 black women the head of Judiciary Committee, and I'm one of them. So I'm really excited about that. That goes to the respect that I've already earned in the legislature. That's all I have. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for that question. Let me just say this. I started by saying when I was elected to serve as a delegate several years ago, the delegate who'd been there from Prince George's said to me, I was upset because I only had 1 bill to pass. And she said, Patterson, your constituents don't care how many bills you pass or sponsor. They care about what you bring back into your community. And that stayed with me all those years because I was looking at the monies that were being, your tax dollars, our tax dollars that were being allocated, and I'm thinking, well, what about these folks? What about this organization? And so Delegate Davis mentioned millions of dollars. I will tell you, this past year is $9.2 million. And I would like to acknowledge we got most of our money from the combination of the House and the Senate, but also from Delegate C.T. Wilson, because he had a very powerful committee. So when you think about why you're there to serve the people. And why I ran, because I saw a void. And I don't want to sound arrogant, but I figured I could do something about it. And I'm very proud of what we've done. When you think about some of the buildings that we have, infrastructure or communities, didn't know anything about LBIs, which is legislative bond, and it's free money to help them. We're talking about the American Legion. We're talking about many of the homes that for homeless shelters, etc. But I'll have a chance to finish this later. Thank you.
John Jones, once again, candidate District 28. I've always been vocal about change. I've always been vocal about politics. I've never been someone to shy away from difficult conversations. People ask me how much I make, I tell them. If people ask me about my stances on controversial things, I have no problem in opening those discussions. And having those conversations is important, but they don't affect change. So being able to have those conversations in Annapolis will give me the opportunity to actually affect change in Southern Maryland, and that's why I'm running. As far as new perspectives, I am a scientist, as I started to mention earlier. I'm driven by data. I'm driven by hypotheses. Every problem that we have in Southern Maryland is not necessarily a problem per se, but it's a question waiting on an answer. There's a solution to everything that we're looking for, and this area is rich in talent. I drive from Indian Head to Rockville every day. Because I'm a scientist. There are no opportunities for scientists like myself, and we have a community college that graduates tons of scientists, engineers, and nurses, but we have to go 3 counties away to actually perform those jobs. That money that we spend on gas, that money we spend on food, it's my job, it will be my job, to make sure that we have opportunities in Southern Maryland for people like me, people coming up after me, because my children are in public schools. My son's about to start first kindergarten in August. So it's important that they have somewhere in Southern Maryland that is safe for them as well.
Sean Mowden for Delegate District 27A. So first I want to tell you that I'm from Alabama, I mentioned that, and I came here to go to Howard University, which I graduated from Howard University, and I also participated in student government there. And then I went to law school, you know, and in law school that bug was planted in me, right? The bug was planted in me to do legislation. Afterwards, I went in to become a mayor. So as a mayor, what I got the experience to do, and here's into answering the question, I got to get into making sure that I understand both sides of legislation as well as the administrative side of things. And that's the unique perspective I bring to the table, is that, yeah, for 3 months you're in session. Great, you're gonna write laws, you're gonna review laws, and you're gonna do all of that. After that, what are you doing for the other 9 months? I'm fully excited to execute many programs that directly impact the community. The other side of it that I want to make sure that I address is the question about what motivated me. Well, you know, like I say, after I was mayor, I spent some time off, and then I kept connected with my community in terms of doing the nonprofit that I founded. And what I learned is that individuals started asking me to run for a position. And those individuals are the coalition of people that are already in office, which I know a lot of them from my time as mayor, which is important in the role, coalition building. One candidate can't do it by himself.
So we're going to a little bit of a pivot. Thank you all, members of the audience, for the question. These are good questions. So I'm going to ask questions from the audience members. So first question, starting here, Mr. Mulvey. What's your stance on data centers?
I'm against data centers.
It's still, so just for clarity, it's still 1 minute, 30 seconds.
Okay, so I'm against data centers as they are. You know, I gave it very quickly because I feel like sometimes as politicians, we just go on too long for a simple question. But so my position fully is I'm against data centers as they are, as they've been presented. Also though, I look at the law. I look at what's been proposed. I look at and try to follow everything that I can. Senate Bill 116 is where they're doing a complete review of this, and I'm following it to make sure that if they do want to institute, that guardrails are there, that what needs to happen is there, so that it does not negatively impact our community. We don't want our bills, electric bills, to go up. We know that over in Virginia, Virginia is the data center capital of the world. And we know that we are experiencing hikes in our utilities based off of our proximity. So data centers are not our friends, especially not as they are now. We don't want our water streams and other toxins and issues to impact us here. But I also just don't want to say, no, we're against data center, meanwhile walking around with, you know, what is run by it, right? So if in the event we can ensure that, you know, it does not impact us negatively, then maybe so. But when you leave here, don't say, Mowden is for data centers. I'm not. Thank you.
Same question?
Yes.
So, as it stands, I'm against data centers. Again, as a scientist, data matters. There are things that data centers provide economically that are short-term, without a doubt. The long-term ramifications are things that have not been studied enough. I do know for a fact that data centers tend to have heat sinks. They tend to increase the temperature of the neighborhoods around them by 6 to 7 degrees on average. They take water that is potable and make it non-usable again. So there are things that we need to do to safeguard Maryland against the future, because quantum, AI, high data, big data are absolutely critical for future economies. We can't be left behind here, but we have to make sure that the guardrails are in place to protect our communities. Every community that they tend to put in these hyperscale data centers in tends to be around poor and Black people. You start to see increased incidences of asthma. There has to be protections for our community, but we also have to make sure that we are positioning ourselves as Marylanders for the future. We can't outright say no, But we can't say yes without giving them a whole bunch of hell and asking them for a whole lot of concessions and not making them pay for their own power. They have to pay for their own power. We can't subsidize any data centers that have to come into our area.
Yeah, but not for me. You gotta read the guy behind.
Delegate,
Thank you, brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you could be sure, please silence your phones so they don't go off as the candidates are talking.
Thank you very much, and thank you first of all, for giving us a chance to respond versus a yes or no category. December 2025, we had a special session. A special session simply means that we vote in the session in April, but when we have a special session, we come back. Why was that necessary? Because the House as well as the Senate decided to override the governor's veto on Senate Bill 116. And you certainly can look it up. It's under 2025 legislation. And what does this legislation do that we pass? It says that the Department of Energy, Department of Health, Department of Environment, Department of the Commerce Department, as well as University of Maryland, will work together and give a report to find out what happens when data centers, or what the use of data centers. I will simply say that there are 3 types of data centers: small, medium, and hyperscale. When you think about where they are, if you're at the airport, you have data centers there. If you are passing them old telephone buildings, etc., they're there. I am a scientist as well, with a degree in biology and chemistry. And so I look at the facts. I'm waiting for the September 1 report to come out. Because I think when you look at the electricity that we're paying, it is from the data centers, not in Maryland, but in Virginia. And so we have to look at why the costs are really there. Thank you.
Thank you. I think it's being sold as an easy way out, and so I'm a little suspicious. And I make decisions based on facts and data, and we'll have some in September
1, 2026.
September 1st, we'll have at least the experts weigh in on what the pros and cons and what type of guardrails we should have. And I won't make a decision until we're based on facts. And I don't believe in easy way outs, and I've got Delegate Wilson in my ear who hates it, so we're gonna figure it out. We better.
Yanel Morley, District 27A, and in a word, no. Based on what I've seen so far, first and foremost, I have concerns, as shared by Mr. Jones, about where they're likely to be placed. They're typically in our neighborhoods, Black and brown communities, people that they feel are powerless, that are weak, that can't fight for themselves, that won't stand up and say no. Absolutely not on my watch. It's one of the things that I fight very hard for, are for people that feel powerless. There are facts, as I've seen, that relate to the noise pollution, that relate to the light pollution, the electricity. Ask those people right now where data centers are located. And I say this as someone who went to talk to the unions, and I will say if they must be built pro-union, let me just put that on the record, but I went to visit the plumbers and gas fitters. Many of them are, already? Oh. I went to visit them. I know, right? I'm reclaiming my time. I went to visit the plumbers and gas fitters, and some of the unions, they're divided, but those that are, and those particular union members, is because they believe that they're going to bring jobs. What they don't often tell you is that they'll bring jobs initially. Those jobs are not typically sustainable. That's something that we have to look at. I don't want all of this to disrupt our communities. They land here, we can't get rid of them. They're eating up our electricity. They're causing noise and light pollution. They're causing, in some cases, people believe real serious health consequences. And then what? So for me, it's a no.
Thank you.
Winfield Clark, Delegate, District 28. Done correctly, yes, but that's the key. Done correctly. There are alternative forms of technology. There are air-cooled data centers. There are ways to manage the lights and everything else. And it depends on where these things are going to be put. Now, done correctly, put in the right place, managed effectively so that it brings jobs and revenue to the county, yes, I'm for it. But I need the facts just like everyone else. I'm not going to make a decision without the facts, and I'm waiting for September 1st to get those facts. Then you'll hear stance. Thank you.
So I'd like to say this is a very complicated thing. I'm glad we have more than yes or no answer. Number one thing I'd like to say, the current governor and legislature have been asleep at the wheel. They got over 406 of these in Virginia, and we haven't come out with the statewide rules saying, this is the zoning, these are the requirements you gotta meet done correctly, with limits on the sound, which don't exist right now. No ordinance has ever been addressing very low frequency, water usage. Some of these things have all been correctly done. Water-cooled chips. There's been stuff where, like down in Morgantown, there's 1.4 gigawatts of electric power that has been taken off the grid by the current administration. And if we brought that back, 250 acres, it's down there. If for some reason we do it right, we can have a decent data center. Nobody's living down there at that particular area. I'm talking around there they live, but done correctly with zoning that limits the sound, make the water usage, use the Potomac River, we can do that. But if we just go on the zoning we have right now, I would be against them because there's persistent sound, heavy water use, and we can't have that up here. Where we have, like, they're gonna put one in Hampshire where I live, there's like a drain the lake. That's the only place they could put it. So it's gonna have to be at a place like Morgantown. None of that power is currently being generated. Thank you very much.
Kept hearing as an engineer. As an engineer, I too am against data centers. But we also still have data centers in the state, and saying no to the ones coming is just not enough. I want to see data centers that we currently have report and publicize the greenhouse gas emissions and other negative impacts on the environment. And if they don't reasonably reduce these impacts, we should fine them. Because guardrails without actual consequences are just suggestions on paper. So we actually have to have things in place that keep these data centers accountable. And I'm not elected, I'm a community member first. I'm honestly tired of hearing if done correctly, because if done correctly is the saying of the government. Anything that we do as a government relies on if done correctly. And the fact is, we know the government doesn't do everything correctly. So we can't just keep relying on if the government does it correctly, because the government does not have a 100% success rate. So because of that, I'm 100% against any extra data centers, and I wish we could get rid of the ones we have.
Evan Smith, Democratic candidate for District 28. No, I don't want data centers here. There's several reasons why. The first one is my suspicions were already raised by the manner in which they've gone about this. They've employed a heavy use of NDAs, the speed at which they're trying to operate to build all these as quick as they can before all the regulations have gone in. That should raise a red flag in anyone's mind. But also the direct consequences. Currently there's a lot of open-ended areas where the regulations just simply aren't there yet. There's not closed areas, which means that there's going to be a lot of pass-through and heavy water usage. There's no real guidelines on how often they can use these backup diesel generators that they want to use. These generate a lot of emissions, and there are data centers that will over-rely on them as a way to not have to deal with the relatively more expensive stuff. But the emissions, these pass through our communities. But then finally, the indirect consequences. Something that I don't think has been brought up is these data centers are being used to power AI. We already had data centers, we already had the technology. The problem now is one of scale, that they're building so many more, and that is to store our data to be used in improving AI. And what has AI brought us? A net loss of 16,000 jobs every single month across the country. That is disproportionately impacted people like myself, a young Gen Z professional. That's made it even harder than it already is to get into the job market. So for all of those reasons, no data centers, not now, and pending further innovation, maybe not ever.
My name is Darrell Odom, and I'm currently, I want to apologize first for being tardy. That's another subject. Can you hear me? Yeah. All right, thank you. But it's hard to give a solid answer on yes or no, whether data centers are thumbs up or thumbs down. And I only say that because the neighboring jurisdictions has been said that have data centers. And in actuality, they may be incurring additional energy charge for those of us that do not have them. So I'd like to figure out that equation, if you will, that solves the matter of whether they're environmentally safe, how we can overcome the demand for the amount of water and the amount of resources that they actually are needed to sustain them, and to make that cost not borne on the taxpayers, those of you sitting in this room, and jurisdictions in Charles County and Prince George's County where I reside. Now, I am a member of the House of Delegates currently, and I sit on the Environment and Transportation Committee, and we have yet to do a deep dive discussion with regards to data centers. We were involved with the energy costs, trying to get control of that, and of course, data centers is another offshoot of that, because as I just stated, it could drive up the energy costs that you and I spend and not even have it within our jurisdiction.
Just getting my steps in for the. Okay, can you hear me? Okay. This is a kind of two-part question again from the audience. Why should the voters in Charles County trust you to represent their interests in Annapolis? And how will the constituents be able to hold you accountable? So we'll start.
Can you just repeat that first part of it?
Sure.
I know you asked how they would hold us accountable. What was the first part? Why would they trust us?
Yes, sir. So the first part was, why should voters in Charles County trust you to represent their interest in Annapolis?
Well, I'll say this, those that may not know me, I have served 31 years in the military, honorably retired from the U.S. Coast Guard, served in the Army as well, and I have served in Prince George's County in the fire service for 25 years and retired as acting chief of the organization. Now, in terms of trust, I would hope that you would trust any of us on this panel. Now, holding us accountable would be something that you would see on a daily basis. I mean, you will see what we are doing in the roles that we are in. And that is where I would hope you would base your determination of whether we're doing something and whether we're going to be held accountable for what we're doing. Because as a citizen, I've visited the delegation and got the assistance of our elected leaders to solve problems in my community. A bunch of us as homeowners got together with a problem where we had property that was sold by tax sale when the developers actually made our homes. So we took that to task and got legislation passed with their assistance. So it's going to take the assistance of those who sit in this room to make things actually happen, is what I'm saying. So that is a way that you can hold me accountable, because if you engage with me, then you can do that.
So one of the things that I would say as far as why you might be able to trust me is because I have made it a policy to not take any corporate money over the course of my campaign, not a cent. And so that has meant that I can freely express whatever I think. And I am not, nobody's paying me to say anything or do anything once I'm in office. Anything I say to you now, it represents how I think right now. You are seeing me as I am. And what that means then is I also can work freely with whoever I wish to get what needs to be done. I don't have to go through companies preferentially and work through all these different associations, however that might go. I can go straight to labor unions. I can go straight to potentially less profitable but more knowledgeable sources. I can come straight here and not have to worry about conflicts of interest. As for holding me accountable, I haven't held office yet, so there's not something to hold me accountable for yet, but that's what the ballot box is for, right? That's how the voters keep the politicians that they want in office. So if you become dissatisfied with me, you're gonna vote me out, and that's how it goes.
For how you should, well, Clifton Crosby, District 27A, why you should trust me and hold me accountable, for me, our answer is one and the same. I think when I look at how sessions go right now, I think they they all end in celebration, even though it doesn't feel like we're celebrating at the end of sessions. And why you should trust me and hold me accountable is, before every single session, I want to make it clear on what I'm going up there to do. I think when our leaders come home, there's sometimes well, you didn't necessarily fail, but I didn't know what you were going up there to do. So you couldn't have failed for what I didn't know what you were going to do. You're going to be able to hold me accountable because I told you what I was going to do before the session. And when I come home, either we did or we didn't. There's no dipping in both, oh, well, I did this for you. If we didn't get it all, we didn't get it. And that's my leadership style. I'm very objective on whether we're succeeding or failing. And I'm going to make it clear with my constituents. Yeah, that's my answer.
Well, we'll start with, I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me. I'm going to go to Annapolis. I'm going to represent everyone here, but I'm not going there to raise taxes on you. I'm not going there to raise fees on you. I'm not going there to take your gun. I'm not going there to close another power plant down or raise the Empower fees. I'm going there to represent the fiscally responsible people that have to pay the property taxes and the state income tax in this thing that's been going up and out of control. I'm 62 years old. I've been here a long time. And if after 4 years I ain't doing a good job, I'm 66, please vote me out. I need to do something else. But I promise you, I won't do more than 2 terms. If I were elected and people were happy with me, but you know, when you hit 70, it's time to go hunt and fish and enjoy your grandkids. It's not the time to be down in the office. Thank you very much.
Winfield Clark, District 28. I'm already trusted by many in this county and neighboring counties. I stand on a platform and values that bring integrity. It's not a question that I can't and I won't be bought. But you should trust me in Annapolis because I know and understand the priorities of this county. There's 3 parts right now we need to go after. 1 is economic growth. That's keeping talent and income here, supporting local businesses and attracting new industry. 2 is infrastructure, expanding transit, bring the metro here, improve development planning and enable business growth through service excellence. And 3 is government efficiency. Make the government better, not bigger, improve access to services and eliminate waste and efficiency. Now, how will constituents hold me accountable? By my results, by my ability to listen and communicate effectively, by my integrity and my do-say ratio. I say what I'm going to do, and I do it. Bo Clark, District 28.
Yanel Morley, District 27A. First and foremost, past is prologue. When you look at whether or not you can trust someone, what have they already done? For many people, it's not very pleasant. In my case, I'm the immediate past chair of the Board of Education of Charles County. I've been trusted with $529 million, with clean audits, with no ethical issues, with no concerns as an attorney of over 25 years. And let's be clear, I'm the only attorney running in 27A. Let me start there. Secondly, we have very real problems that people need help with. They need someone who's going to be a steady force at that wheel, who's going to be ready on day 1. It's not on-the-job training. And to quote my lovely Delegate Davis, who better than an attorney to help write the laws? Who better than someone who's already served and is serving at the state, local, and national levels, who has those coalitions, who has that experience, who has the understanding, who has already advocated successfully to many of the delegates that are currently serving. I applied for this position. I have the support of the Charles County Democratic Central Committee. While I was not appointed, I'm also the only person who will have served a full term. Those things matter. All candidates are not equal. Holding me accountable is something that I relish. Everything that I have done, my record, and I do have a record, has been recorded. All of our meetings are available on YouTube. Everything that I have voted on, I stand on. It may not have been the ideal situation, but very often you make the best choice with the information you have at that time, and then you have to own it. You have to consider the people that you're voting on behalf of and keep their trust in mind. I also keep an open door policy. You sure?
I'm Delegate Deborah Davis, and I am fortunate to stand in front of you. I'm not standing there, to sit in front of you, and to tell you that I have a record. I have over 15 years of public service, and if I wanted to say, if you don't know me by now, but I am transparent, maybe too transparent sometimes, and I'm the same person that you see now behind closed doors. I'm the same person you see on the street, in the grocery store. I'm the same person. Look at my record. If you want to hold me accountable, get involved. Know what I voted on. Know what I didn't vote on. Know what bills I bought. Know when I stood up against the speaker about putting kids at 10 years old in jail. Know that. Know that I come from a public service, from public policy on criminal justice. Know that is me, that I was a 17-year-old majoring in criminology at the University of Maryland, and I have stuck with that my entire life, and I love doing policy, and I love representing you. And I'm your voice. Make sure that I am your voice. That's how you hold me accountable. You weigh in, you hold me accountable that way. Thank you.
Thank you again for the question, Delegate Edith Patterson. Certainly, when you're in Annapolis, you are graded based upon your voting record, your attendance, your involvement, and also not only by the coalition of committees, but you're also evaluated by your colleagues, but most of all, your constituents. And for me, public service is just that. It's not 90 days, it is the entire year that we are here. And for me, as your delegate, I try and look at where the pockets are that we're not taking advantage of. We pass this is a big book, we pass all these bills. And so when you look at the monies that are being spent, I always go for Charles County. What's going on in Charles County? And I see that there are ways, so many instances that we're not taking advantage of those funds. And so for me, it's essential that we work with the county, that we work with other agencies. And so for me, the accountability is to not just to come out during the election year, I show up all the time. And if there's a void, I offer forums for you, as we just did for small businesses. When there are issues such as the autism child that died, I pass legislation to show that there is no void for autism kids. And I also sponsor legislation as relates to military families. I'm very proud of my record because I represent you in seat 95.
John Jones, candidate for District 28. Why you can trust me? As Evan mentioned, he's not accepted any corporate money. I've actually decided to not accept any money. My campaign has had no fundraising. People have asked me, hey, how can I support you? How can I door knock? Can I do this and do that? And my answer has been, no, you cannot. I don't want to pollute. I see the signs, I see them in the middle of the road. I see the paper in the middle of the street. I see the trash everywhere. I see the door knockers and the mailers that go immediately in the recycling bin. I don't know any educated voter that has had their vote swayed by a door knocker. I don't. And part of that accountability on my part is making sure that individuals are holding me accountable by being aware of what I've done, by what I've said, by what I've promised. And my goal will be to only promise things that I believe that I can deliver on. I don't need to sell you dreams. As someone that is not a politician, it'll be my job to be a citizen representative in Annapolis, to hear what everybody needs, to make sure that I'm using my ears to understand what you're saying and not just hear what you're saying and try to turn those things into actionable activities and actionable legislation.
You know, as a mayor, my job, right, was also to, like I said, do legislation, but also to do executive work. And I also had to balance the budget, which is the only really state required or statute required job that the legislature has, right? Of course, you should do more than that when you're there. But I have that experience. You can trust me because I've done this before. And I'm asking for your support to be able to do it again and on a greater level. And along that line, right, my record is solid as a mayor. And if anyone has any question about any other detail, about anything, I'm available. And that's another piece of who I am, which makes me trustworthy and accountable, is that, you know, many of you, I might have showed up at your door, I might have talked to you, but I think that's what you can stand on and you can trust, is that fact. Several mayors are endorsing my campaign. It's not me being endorsed by me answering these AI answer questionnaires and getting a a stamp of approval. No, it's real people that know me, know my work, that have endorsed my campaign candidacy. These folks have combined hundreds of years of serving the people. I also want to say that in terms of the accountability piece, I will put in place a dashboard so that everything that I'm doing can be tracked and make it available step by step. The issue that I also have with the title is House of Delegates. Other states call it representative, and that's what I think we are. Listen to the people and represent you in Annapolis. That's how I'm accountable.
Okay, we're gonna take 1 minute to just make a couple of announcements. We have a survey where we are requesting your feedback for this event. There are QR codes over there, and we will have more copies of the QR codes circulating. If you could do that for us, we would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you get a moment, visit vote411.org to check your voter information. And the other really helpful thing they include on that website is a voting plan. So make sure that you know how to get to the polls, make sure you know your polling location, make sure you can help others check their polling status and get to the polls. So please, if you get a moment, please visit vote411.org and spread the word. Thank you.
So this next question is going to focus on transportation and infrastructure. Traffic congestion remains a major concern for many residents commuting through the region. What transportations would you advocate for, and if you can list one, maybe two strategies you would also advocate for in Annapolis? And again, you've got 1 minute and 30 seconds to start through this.
So I am definitely going to be doing a deep dive into increasing bus routes, also to see if we can expand and what kind of studies can be done on, I think we're talking about Road 1 mainly, right? Also, having gone door to door and talking to residents, they're saying, hey, let's bring the metro finally. Let's move forward towards that. I told you that I'm a representative, so I like hearing from the people to get a real feel of what the majority of our constituency is saying. I think some people are saying, well, let's not bring the metro because it brings that element into town. And then other people saying, let's bring it because it can help bring down. But the point of the matter is we need some real focus on that, some real studies, and I think we need to do a deeper dive and to really get to the heart of what a majority of our constituency is saying. But definitely for SMART, I think we need to make sure that we are funding it, we're looking deep into it. And I mentioned bus routes and the other opportunities that we can to help to reduce the traffic and the congestion that so many people are saying. In fact, just today I made a post about that, about the need to ensure that we are really staying on top of it and making sure that we are attacking it head on. And I'm not so sure that we've done that in the past. That's my perspective.
John Jones, District 28 candidate. So part of the problem with traffic in our area it doesn't have anything to do with the options primarily. The biggest problem with our traffic in the area is that all of the jobs that we want, that pay the money that we want, are not here. To resolve the traffic issues, we need to bring businesses into the area that are paying high-paying jobs with benefits. We are so dependent and reliant on NOVA and DC for all of our career professionals. Our job to alleviate a lot of the traffic is to bring those businesses and those companies here. We have the space. We need to do the work to work on the zoning. We need to do the work in the background to prepare the environment for them. But if we want to alleviate the traffic, we need to stop people like me from having to drive from Indian Head to Rockville. That's the bare bones about it. Now, as far as the infrastructure goes, we need to bring the metro or some analog to the metro, and we need to increase bus routes. In the short term, that will help alleviate a lot of the traffic. In the long term, though, the solution, the jobs that we're driving to need to be in our county.
Although that's a good segue to my response. Certainly, you've heard about the the smart transit, the funding for that. It involves both the state as well as federal, a lot of federal funds for that. And that will alleviate some of the traffic on 301. And in terms of 210, again, there was legislation to broaden the expressways or the roadway into 10 as it relates to once you're in Akakeek. Those were issues that we resolved several years ago. But when you think about Charles County, it is also our relationship with county government. Some of the byways have not opened up. Once you cross over into the county, you will find that once that passway or byway on the right will open, will relieve some of the traffic. But let's be honest, most of the backlog is in Prince George's County. And so it's really imperative that we work not as one county, but we work together to resolve the issues of transportation. And lastly, I will simply say that Governor Moore and this legislation produced DARE and the Decades Act and earned those jobs for rural communities. We are rural. And so part of our initiative is to make sure that those rural jobs and opportunities are forwarded to Charles County residents. So my friend will not have to go to Rockville, that he can work maybe over the bomb tech or some other place.
Okay, Delegate Davis. One of the first bills that I passed when I got to the legislature was the Southern Maryland Rapid Transit Bill. I worked with Senator Arthur Ellis to get that bill across the finish line. And it is to have rapid transit from Prince George. We work with Prince George's also to make it a priority. And it's 14 miles from Prince George's, from Branch Avenue Station to White Plains. Now, CT always teases me and said our grandkids will never see it. But we are working on it, and we're getting federal funds and we're pushing it forward. But we need to be multifaceted about it. We need to be thinking about bus rapid transit also and other transportation answers. But let me tell you some history. So I was a Charles County Commissioner, and we were building east-west streets, east-west highway. Remember that? Yeah. And there was a lot of people saying no. What was it? Charles County Connector? Something like that. And it was shut down. It was shut down by people in our community who thought if we build more roads, there'd be more people coming, and y'all came anyway. So it's probably time to readdress the Charles County Connector, because right now we're landlocked. And we are absolutely landlocked, because it went through buildings like that's where it was. And one last thing is that, and then our cousins in Prince George's are putting speed cameras all the way up at every road that we get in and out. And our delegation stood against it, but it went through. So slow down.
Yanel Moore, Lead 27A. My first answer is stop building. How about we start there? We have overbuilt on just about every inch that we can. I promise you, I drive down the road and come back 5 days later. I'm like, when did that happen? Where did that come up? So that's the first thing. I think it's wonderful that Charles has expanded as much as we have, but the infrastructure clearly has not caught up. I know a lot of people have moved in search of affordable housing, which is, in this day and age, almost a misnomer. I appreciate that I would have to represent both Charles and Prince George's, and for me, it's not Charles or Prince George's. It's Charles and Prince George's. How can we work together? People in Prince George's feel like when you pass into, certain parts of Akakeek or Brandywine or what have you, that they're forgotten, that the road just suddenly stops being developed. I agree with Mr. Jones that we need to make it more attractive for people to stay here. That will considerably cut down on the traffic. We have the worst commute in the entire country, but we also need to look at, I love the smart, we've said the same thing about the rapid transit. When is it coming? I've been here almost 14 years, I'm still waiting. I know we've kind of lost hope, and let's be clear, no disrespect to my Republican friends, but in this current environment, in the federal space, let's be clear, we're not going to get anything. So it's going to be up to Maryland to build it ourselves. We need to expand buses and bus routes where we can. I'm still not giving up hope because we absolutely need a rail system down here. I'm 17 miles from the Beltway, 17. Sir. All right, I'll leave it there. You're coming for me. I think you shaved on 5 seconds.
All right, my time's up? Okay. All right, Clark, Delegate District 28. You know, you said 2 strategies, but I think it's more involved than just 2. But of course, we want to start with the metro. It makes sense. Get it here, get it done. Take cars off the road. And yes, you bring the right jobs here and you'll take cars off the road. And yes, more bus routes are great. But has anyone looked at the water? Right here on the Potomac River, you can stand on the shore and look across, and you can see Alexandria. You can see Mount Vernon. You can see all the places, well, half the places that we drive. There's many cities that have successfully implemented waterway taxis to and from that even carry vehicles. I've been to them. I've been on them. I put my car on them. Why is no one looking at this? And this also can bring revenue. This can bring jobs. Now you have something to manage. You have jobs for people there. We've got a lot of natural beauty that's along those waterways that can also be incorporated and that can bring tourism here. Guys, we need to think outside the box and be innovative. Let's look at the water as well.
James Ashford, District 28. I'm going to give you the same answer I gave the Charles County Chamber of Commerce thing. We need immediate halt on all residential development in Charles County. I mean, people were complaining about affordability. We're the most affordable county in the whole state. That's why people are moving here and driving to Montgomery, driving to Rockville, driving to Northern Virginia, because those places aren't built in a place that's affordable over there for you to live so you can have a 10-minute drive to work instead of having the 2-hour night ride. I remember getting on the Beltway at 7 in the morning, being in DC at 8:15. It ain't happening. Who in here knows that of all the state gas tax you pay, more than 60% of it goes to mass transit? Does that sound like everyone in Charles County is getting ripped off? Because you have to remember most people don't use mass transit, and yet they're taking all our fees, and instead of putting those in flyovers like we see on 210, where they're flying over that intersection, flying over this intersection. We're sitting there stopping at the mall that the commissioners wouldn't get back in the early 2000s. It's sitting up there at Costco and CarMax. That was all supposed to be in White Plains, according to Harry Sasho. But they wouldn't let him put it on 80 acres down there. They told him to go somewhere. So he runs up to Prince George's County, puts it there. We get the traffic jam out of it. Thank you very much, sir.
Well, since we're on transportation, I keep hearing people talk about commutes. I drive from Waldorf to Quantico, Virginia. So transportation is important to me. I believe that we do need the light rail. I know that we keep hearing that it's not going to come for a long time. But I'm also scared, honestly speaking, scared of a bus solution. One, if you put a bus in front of me on the road, I'm not getting to work faster. And 2, what I don't want is them to say down the line, well, you got buses, so you don't need a light rail. I don't want them to put Band-Aids on a solution that requires full-fledged surgery. We already know the buses don't work because people don't take the van go. If the buses really would work, the van go would be full every single time. We would need more van go routes. So I do, and I also don't think we need, actually, let me just pause.
Yes. If you need to make a call for a ride, please do so now. The library will open tomorrow
I'll stop
at
your time.
1 p.m.
I appreciate you. I appreciate it. Okay, you can start. You can start it now. And for a second, I don't want to see us go swing for a full-fledged metro station because, as we see happening in other areas of the state, it's costing way too much money, like astronomical amounts of money, and it's just not getting done. If we don't think a light rail is going to come soon, a metro station, my grandkids won't see it, and I'm not even close to having grandkids. So I do want to act with urgency. We already know that the light rail is going to take time, but I think we need to commit to that mission. It was promised to us that we would have a light rail, as Delegate Davis said, and I think we need to execute on that, not try to pivot to something else.
So, when it comes to trying to solve this transportation quagmire we find ourselves in, there's a couple different options that we have, but we need to be exploring all of them. The reality is that we aren't taking the options that we have because they don't work. So we can't take Van Gogh to DC. It doesn't go that far. So we need to bring, like you just said, we need to bring the light rail here. But also we need to be trying to figure out even more solutions. Like how could we legitimately, I know the roads are, I would not want to do this in Indian Head, for example, but the roads, we need to be figuring out how we could do bicycles. Like, could we connect them to the back of people's houses? Could we have a ton of space? Be a better use than just another suburb, sure. The reality is that we need to be approaching this from multiple aspects, bringing jobs to the area. This is a multifaceted problem. We need to have a multifaceted approach. I will note that along with Delegates Patterson and Davis, all three of us have been trusted by the ATU, Local 689, to tackle this problem. They are the people that run the Metro every single day, keep it going. And so I am working with professionals to solve this issue, to actually get it over the line. I got extra time, so. There's other aspects to it. I mean, trying to figure out, limiting construction as well. We don't need to be adding fuel to the fire while the problem is still going on. There we go.
Again, my name is Delegate Darrell Odom, District 27A. I don't profess to be an expert in transportation, but I know I use it every day. That's part of my dilemma today in getting here on 301 in the Prince Jordan side of it, coming from Bowie in this direction. I was in traffic for about an hour and a half. All right, because I was coming from a doctor's appointment. But I'll say this, I'm really familiar with the improvements on 301 going into Route 5, Spine Road, where the circle's been built and that. You travel that way? Okay. All right. Now, the parking lot that's over there, I thought it would be a transportation parking lot. So I'm quite interested in what it's going to be. That's going to be one of the things I'm going to find some answers to. Because it's not utilized, if you know what parking lot I'm talking about. So I can name other parking lots that are paid for by the county, Prince George's County, that was supposed to alleviate traffic and is doing everything but alleviate traffic. There's being very little use of it. So there's a lot of questions I have. Being on the Environment and Transportation Committee, I can assure you those will be some of the questions that I want to look into in my term going forward in the House of Delegations. As a freshman delegate, I didn't think I could walk in the door and tell them what I'm going to do. I was assigned the committees that I'm on and did the work that was put before me. I voted on bills that I felt important for you as the citizens, and I co-sponsored those bills and actually brought bills forward on my own as well.
So we heard the announcement from the library staff. So I want to shift to healthcare and quality of life. What can the state do to improve access to healthcare and mental health services in Southern California?
Well, one thing that
so because of time, 1 minute. And to make sure 1 minute for your answers, before they're going to start, turn the lights out.
One thing I want to make some emphasis on, I know we have a great deal of percentage of veterans within both Charles and Prince George's County. So I know that we got to make sure that we provide the health care for those veterans that are eligible as well as their family members. They can't be left out. So I want to start there doing that. But I also want to look at some of the impact in which the federal government has placed upon us in terms of shortage of funds that have been driven our way and how we can counteract that. And the government's been doing a great job in terms of trying to solve those problems along with our current legislature. So I'm going to be involved in trying to address all those concerns. And I would love to hear concerns from those of you that can tell me some of the things that actually have impacted your loved ones, your family members, in terms of having some issues with health care. Because I certainly know all the issues that are there. Thank you.
If we want to expand access to healthcare, we have to make sure that healthcare is something that everybody can afford. We can't all afford healthcare because it's so expensive. That's just the main thing. One of the first things I intend to do when I get into office is to start exploring how we could actually implement a public healthcare across the state. That it will be cheaper. At least it's cheaper to run. Anybody knows that with an insurance pool, the costs go down the bigger the pool you have. And so that also means we can negotiate. there's an incredible amount of money we waste on this sort of thing already. I think upwards of a third of the state budget, over $20 billion every year. That's how much we're spending on this. But a lot of that is going by the wayside because because it's being lost with the private partnerships that we have. Nobody's going to a Maryland, like just Maryland, and that's all it says on the front of the building. We're going to planes with Aetna, with Kaiser, with all these sorts of things, and that costs more for the state to subsidize. We need to be making alternatives there.
First, with improvements to healthcare, I hear a lot about wait times and that people cannot get the care they need even when they show up. I believe that issue is due to a lot of the staffing issues that we're seeing in the state, and a lot of areas, not just in healthcare, are struggling with staffing because people cannot afford to work here. So I want to make the state more affordable, that we can encourage more healthcare professionals to come into the state so that we can reduce these wait times in our hospitals. And second, I also want to help our seniors age comfortably in Charles County. And what that looks like, not just investing in more or better senior housing, but also taking the weight off of the county problems off of their shoulders. When we increase taxes, we're increasing taxes on the retired communities as well. We need to find ways to say, you know what, you're retired, you contributed to the state enough, now it's somebody else's turn, not yours.
Okay, so we're talking about healthcare access. Number one thing we have to do is we have to audit the budget. We need to find out, like a lot of states have found, there's a lot of people that are gaming the system, stealing money. There's no inspector general doing their job in Maryland. The United States government audited them, and there's all kinds of money that they're falsely getting from the state. We need to make the plans more flexible. Nobody should have a plan that costs them $12,000, $14,000 a year. That's a $5,000 deductible when you're a single guy or single girl. No 60-year-old woman should have to pay for birth control in her thing because she doesn't need it. No man should have to pay for other things that he doesn't need. You should be able to pick the plan you want, especially younger, catastrophic care. That's when you're going to be in the hospital. But because they can't afford it, they don't even have that. They show up at the hospital, next thing you know, they owe the hospital $20,000 for some accident because they couldn't afford a reasonable health care premium. Thank you.
Clark, Delegate, District 28. I work with hospital executives for over 10 years. I know more than I want to know about healthcare in hospitals. But access really is a problem here. All of my children, they weren't born in Charles County. We drove to Fairfax and we drove to Montgomery County. That's a problem. When I want to go to the emergency room, I drive out of town. That's a problem. If we're going to put money into something, let's build another hospital before we build another housing community. So we really need to evaluate. This is why you need the right delegates in place where the money is being spent. If this is a real issue here, we've got the numbers to prove it. Let's put that money into building not just a hospital, but a large healthplex where you have a hospital and you have ambulatory care and you can have services for mental health and other needs that we don't have available. Thank you.
Yanel Moore-Lee, District 27A. First, let me say this is one of my top 3 issues. Healthcare is the #1 expense in the state. It's the largest portion of our budget. As a breast cancer survivor, I know this all too well. Healthcare is a right. It is not a privilege. We do need more than one hospital in Charles County. I will agree with you on that. We need better options for healthcare. The healthcare industry is largely unregulated. You can go to the doctor and pay the same as someone else with comparable care, or you can pay twice as much. For those of us that have had a lot of surgery, that aspirin that your neighbor gets at $5, you might pay $500. There's so much, it's so disjointed and so largely unregulated. I think that's the first thing that I would want to look at. How can we make this more equitable? I do not believe that anyone should go bankrupt trying to have adequate health care. Whether you're a senior, a veteran, a woman, child, you shouldn't have to choose between your fundamental basic rights that you need, the things that you need to live, and can I afford this prescription? Am I going to have to fill half of this because I can't afford the full amount? I also am deeply concerned about the options that people have for healthcare and the lack of, there's not a solid pipeline, the lack of people that want to go into the healthcare industry because many of them have been run off and discouraged.
Thank you. So I'm not an expert on health at all, and I try to stay in my lane, but I will tell you that in the legislature there is a whole committee on health. That deals with nothing but health. And if you're really interested in what we did just last year, I offer this to my colleagues also. There's 40 pages of what we did just last year in this book. And we have been trying to reduce healthcare costs. There's so many things across the board, but with the federal funding drying up, it is getting more and more difficult. The problem is now at crisis level. That's what.
Thank you for that question, because I think that when you think about healthcare, number one, our new speaker has chaired the health committee for a number of years, and she's really big on it. And so there were several pieces of legislation that we passed. Some of them have to do with women and women issues. For example, the cooling cap. For those women who have, or persons who are going through chemo and they have to have a cooling cap, insurance companies will pay for that. We have also legislation dealing with, oh, it's not embarrassing, menopause issues, because that's really important as well. Gene markers for ovarian cancer, and those are things that were not covered. Covered for treatment of obesity, the GLP-1 initiatives, and all of us can deal with that. And then lastly, when we talk about mental health, there is to codify the rules for Maryland's coverage of mental health and substance disorders. It was not codified in the law, but it is now. Thank you.
If you get the book.
Yes, the 90-day report.
It's called the 90-day report. And I will make a commitment for every member of an organization who has a social or political action director. I will get you a copy of this. It's online, but it's too much paper. I will get you a copy of this because it shows everything we've done, all the bills that were passed, and what they mean, as well as the budget, etc. So it's like a dictionary in so many ways.
John Jones, candidate, District 28. The question was about accessibility to healthcare and mental health services. Part of the problem with healthcare in America in general is the return on investment. Everybody's spending and paying into the pot, spending their money, putting their money towards it, and when they need it, it doesn't deliver what you're putting into it. Part of the problem with that, and part of the solution to that, is not necessarily looking in-house. We've tried to do things to try to reduce costs, we've tried to codify things, we've tried to improve access. We have examples internationally that we need to look at to follow. We are the only country with the revenue that we have, with the GDP that we have, that does not provide healthcare access to its constituents. We treat it like it's a privilege. We treat it like an add-on service versus it being a fundamental access that we should all have. There are states that have models that we can emulate. There are countries that we can look at to emulate. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are answers there already. We just have to be willing to take the gears of government and turn them in that direction and implement those things.
Your attention please. Your library is closing in 30 minutes. Library card registration and public computers will no longer be available after 7:45 p.m. If you need to print now. If you need to save now. Don't forget your flash drive. The gate rooms are now closed. Please check out with staff to exit the room. If you need to make a call for a ride, please do so now. Your library will open tomorrow at 1 p.m.
So what I want to say is that as it relates to healthcare, I think we also have everything everyone has said. I won't echo. We do have to apply those things, but we also have to think outside the box. I think that the healthcare question is an educational issue in the school system. I'll explain. I lost my kidney due to the impacts of COVID, because I did not take the medicine, long story short. But before then, not now, before then, I was completely vegan, no salt, no oil, no sugar. And so I think we have to try to start to infiltrate that into our education system at the youth, young level. We got to eat healthier, folks. We have to not become so dependent on waiting until we're ill to become sick and then even need the system. But in the interim, what I'll tell you is what we have to do is we have to expand access. It shouldn't depend on your zip code. We do have to have more doctors. We do have to have more people and be accessible to these centers. And we also have to make sure that we have more nurses as well. That's short.
All right, so I wanted to thank our candidates for coming tonight. I want to thank all of you for coming tonight. And we have another candidate that.
Oh, I'm just gonna say, there was a Senate debate on Monday, they had the wrong email, because I never got it, because I wouldn't come. All questions were great. I'm Delegate T.T. Wilson, I've been serving Charles County for the last 16 years, and I'm running for the Senate seat in District 28. Proud of my team, they've done a great job, and I'm not gonna waste more of your time. Thank you guys for coming. I would have shown up if I was invited. I know they tried, just wasn't the right email. But again, I appreciate everybody for coming. I love this community engagement. Thank you guys.